So, you know the deal by now. Apparently it can't install updates. Cool. I love that it waited until the exact moment I started recording to do that. Whatever. I guess that's a good way of breaking the ice for this video because I'm not the best at beginning these. But anyway, yeah, we got episode 8 of Vanguard overdress. Yeah, 8. Wow, we're coming pretty far. We've only got like, what, 4 episodes left until we get the hiatus, followed by 13 more episodes. So, wow, we're making progress here, huh? And this was a really good character-focused episode, both on Megumi and on Tomari. Obviously, the main focus of the episode was Megumi, but I think what we saw of Seto, Tomari, kind of told us a lot about her too, without actually going too in-depth about what the deal with her is. So we are slowly uncovering the meaning behind all those very interesting-looking images and stuff in the opening. And honestly, I gotta say, Megumi's backstory is like a lot more wholesome than I thought it was gonna be. So I guess to embarrass myself, I originally thought that Megumi was in an abusive relationship and that she ran away to be with Danji and the others to get away from it. And there was a lot of symbolism in the opening specifically that seemed to show this. For example, first of all, she had this really like intricate and fancy looking like hair clip, and then we see something in the opening that shows the hair clip and a pair of sunglasses being smashed, and then it cuts to like Megumi like putting the hat and costume and stuff on, which seemed to me to symbolize like the breaking of those two things, represent the two people in the relationship, and because they broke, it was her getting out of the relationship, and then her putting the hat on for the outfit symbolized her moving on. But like I said, the actual backstory we got was a lot more wholesome, actually. And obviously we'll talk about what that stuff is, but if you've seen the episode, you'll obviously know. So, yes. So the person who I thought was the abusive boyfriend, and we found this out a few episodes ago too, by the way, was actually her brother. I believe it was called Takumi, so that's going to be what I refer to him as. I might have got the name a little bit wrong though. Whatever. At least I'm making an attempt to memorize character names here, huh? And basically, the part of a big rich family, because the brother has big obligations and stuff, that means that Megumi feels lonely. And there's a really good line in here about how she mentions that, like, she didn't even realize how lonely she felt. And I like that line. It humanizes her a lot, and it really kind of makes arc feel more realistic, because that's the thing, is sometimes you don't realize how lonely you are because you just get so used to it, you know? Like if someone's like, oh, woe is me, I feel so lonely, it doesn't really feel very believable. But the fact to her that like she doesn't even realize how lonely she feels until she sees Danji, that's a good little sign. And that's the thing, we see Danji and Takumi cardfight quite a lot, as it is shown that Takumi is a member of Blackout, because he has the blackout sleeves and everything. But of course, as he becomes more and more busy, it seems to us anyway that he stops cardfighting Danji, and that's very interesting. I like what they didn't show here, because the stuff they didn't show is stuff that you can imply anyway. Because of course Megumi mentions that as time progresses he becomes more and more busy because he gets more and more responsibility within the family. And because of that, we can just imply, you know, the fact that he stops joining Blackout, you know, he stops going there. And then there's a bit where it turns out that, where we get revealed in something that kind of felt like a bit of a plot twist, that Megumi's deck this entire time was her brother's deck, and that she just took it. And again, they never have a line or anything where they, like, have the brother say anything about it and be like, hey, you stole my deck. Instead, just by showing that, like, again, that implies that the brother doesn't really care and that he doesn't really attend anymore, because he doesn't seem to really notice. Obviously, in the other episode he was in, episode 3, he does acknowledge it. Like, he acknowledges that she's a member of Blackout and that she's a card fighter. So obviously, at some point between current day and this flashback, he does notice and everything. But yeah, like, the fact that she's using his deck is a good way of showing, without telling, that he doesn't cardfight anymore. Because again, well, she's using his deck, right? Like, the only options are that he doesn't cardfight anymore, or that he got a new deck. And the fact that she took his deck rather than being given it kind of shows us that. And I like that. It shows Megumi kind of forging her own destiny, you know? Like, her being bored. Like, because obviously the most surface level comparison you can make here for people who have seen the other Cardfight Vanguard animes is that she's very much like Shion, but I would argue she's a lot more like Chrono. And here's why. Because her comparisons between Chrono, or even, let's go for Shion first, because that's the more surface level one. She's similar to Shion in that she's part of a rich family. And that's about it, really. Yeah, seriously, it really is just that surface level. The both of them are rich. Like, they both have a butler that looks kind of similar, but other than that, there's not much of a similarity between them. Whereas I would say Chrono and her are both very lonely, they're both very bored, they both have almost no passion in life, until they run into a Cardfight Vanguard deck. And then, of course, when she runs into that Cardfight deck, she ends up joining Wonder Hill, whereas with Chrono, he becomes a regular customer at Card Capital 2. I think that her arc is very much mirroring Chrono's, and I think that's really cool because a lot of the characters in here are mirroring other characters, like how Yu is very obviously mirroring Aichi. I think this way of kind of bringing back old thematic elements and doing new stuff with them is really cool, and I think it's really neat, you know? Because I don't think it's lazy, because they are going in new directions with them, and I think it's really neat, you know? And I really liked learning more about her. So because she finds this deck, she ends up being curious and wandering over to Wonder Hill to see what the deal is. Just like Chrono did with Card Capital 2. And she sees Danji winning a card fight, and she gets interested, but she immediately kind of gets embarrassed and tries to flee when everyone notices her. And because of that, she gets put in danger, like a light or something is about to fall on her, so Danji, like, pushes her out of the way, but in the process, Danji's glasses and her hair clip both get destroyed. Yes, the thing that I thought was a sign of an abusive relationship actually marks a new beginning, not an ending. See, I was close. Not really, but I was at least correct that the glasses and the clip were symbolism at the least. Again, I thought it symbolized, like, an end, and the outfit kind of symbolized the new beginning, whereas it's actually the glasses and the clip that represent a new beginning. And I really like that stuff. I really like the kind of relationship between Megumi and Danji, because as it's said very often by these characters out loud, bluntly and verbally, it's a brother-sister relationship, not a romantic one. I feel like it would have been a bit too easy to make these two an item, if you know what I mean. But by having Megumi say to him, you know, very often that kind of like she sees him as a brother, it's basically also dissing her actual brother Takumi, right? She lost Takumi because he's too busy and he doesn't really care, and so she gained a new brother in his place. And I like that a lot. It feels very unique. I feel like most other anime would have just went the romantic way or whatever. And I mean, hey, if you want to ship them, whatever. But like, I like this because I think it makes things more interesting and more kind of unique. So I like that a lot. And then this is where kind of Seto sort of bursts into the episode, because of course the actual plot, which we haven't really talked about yet, is the idea that Megumi is feeling upset because it's the anniversary. They don't say which anniversary. It could be the first, the second, the third. I'm going to assume it's the first. But, you know, it's the anniversary of them two meeting and the glasses breaking and everything, and Megumi's expecting Danji to acknowledge it. And when I read the episode description, like the synopsis, when they were like, oh, you know, it's a year since Megumi joined Blackout and Danji forgot, I was like, this feels a bit out of character. I feel it kind of paints Danji as a bit of a dickhead, when he's not, you know, like, he's not a dickhead. He's actually a really kind and nice person. So what's going on here? And the way the actual episode portrays it is a lot better, because, well, it really isn't a big deal. Not only does Danji actually remember, which is great, right near the end of the episode, he reveals that he knew the entire time, although, in quotes, knew the entire time. I'm betting he probably didn't. Someone just reminded him of it. But also, yeah, it really isn't a big deal. Like, the way the flashback portrays it, of just her, you know, arriving at Wonder Hill and breaking his glasses and everything, it's like, would you remember the specific date for that? Not really. And even if you did, would you celebrate that as if it was an anniversary? Again, I don't know. So I think Danji not remembering isn't really that big of a deal. It's just something that she's fixated on because it's a really big moment in her life. It marks a turning point for her. But for Danji, like, yeah, he gained a new friend out of it, but it probably would have been just another day, and he wouldn't really remember the specifics of it. Like, he'd remember meeting Megumi, but he wouldn't really remember, like, the specific date and everything. And so I think I like that it didn't try to portray Danji as in the wrong or anything. I like that a lot. And also they do have, like, the little joke and everything where after the card fight, the lights and stuff turn off. And then Zakuza's like, hey, did you remember to pay the bills? And he was like, nope. And then they're like, oh, Danji, you're always forgetting everything. And it's like, I see what you're doing there. And that was a good moment for Megumi too, because then it made her realize, oh, wait, yeah, he is just forgetful. It was my fault for expecting him to remember. And so I liked how that stuff played out. And basically the big conflict of the episode, like the card fight, arises from Tomari noticing that Megumi's upset about something, and that's, you know, Danji forgetting the anniversary, but she doesn't know what, and so she decides to try and cheer her up. Those attempts fail, the two of them kind of butt heads, cardfight, you know. It feels like this is one of the most traditional Cardfight Vanguard episodes yet out of overdress, if you know what I mean. This one feels the most like you could kind of just take this plot line and shove it into G or the original. Not that's like a good or bad thing. I think this episode is really good. It just feels like formulaically, character has problem, characters butt heads with each other because of that problem and have arguments and stuff. Oh, let's settle it with a card fight, and then they do it, you know? Like, that formula is very much here, and I like that formula a lot, and if we do end up seeing it come back in future episodes, I will be a big fan of that. I like that formula. So yes, the two of them have a card fight, and it's a really good one. Again, I know people have already made up their minds as to whether or not they like the way that this series does the card fights, but I'm a big fan of it. I'm sorry. Yes, they do skip around a lot. I mean, should I just, like, do a pre-recorded, like, thing where I just record a separate, like, audio sample of myself saying this stuff and then just play it every time there's an episode of a card fight? Because I feel like I am kind of repeating the same things. I feel like everyone who's made it this far already knows my opinions of the card fights, and if you don't, just watch the episode previous reviews. The previous episode reviews. Because I'm just gonna regurgitate the same opinions here. I like the card fight because whilst it does skip around and not show you everything, it shows you enough to know that you get a look at the various characters' different strategies, so you can still kind of follow along with it, especially if you're familiar with the cards. And more so than that, it kind of shows an insight into the characters. I liked the character building in these card fight scenes. It showed us a lot about Seto and Megumi. I like that this background character who we keep seeing in the background, like, it feels like they very intentionally just placed it into every background shot of the previous few episodes and kind of made the design very memorable. And there's a reason for that now. See, in previous episode reviews, I complimented the character designs and stuff for the background characters because they felt more memorable than they usually are. Like, and it was a shame that these characters wouldn't get to do anything despite the fact that they're background characters, but very slowly over time these background characters are actually getting things to do. There was like the other guy with the long bangs who got his character arc about, very small character arc, I don't want to like over exaggerate what it was, but he got a very small little arc about like starting off by bullying Yu because he's jealous that he gets all the attention, but then he ends up like kind of overcoming that and like forgiving Yu, and the two of them start to get along better. And now this character, I wouldn't call it an arc, but they get a moment where everyone, including myself, was wondering, well, if Seto's the commentator, what happens when she card fights and this background character card fights? And I love how much we learn about this background character. I am not joking. We know more about this background character, who we don't even know the name to, by the way. We know more about her than we know about some of like the actual characters from like other series of Vanguard. I'm not even joking. Like, the fact that like she gets all nervous and shy when she's commentating and keeps trying to like push the microphone onto others, but the fact that she's still really good at like commentating anyway, like she does a really good job of helping us follow along with the fight and everything. Like, I think there's a lot like that's shown there. I really liked that. That's like honestly one of the highlights of the episode. And obviously I don't really expect this character to get given much more to do, but I would love to see the background characters in general get given a lot to do because they're very cute, I guess is the best way of summing it up, you know? Like, they're not necessarily meaningful, but they're cute. And you know what? For a slice of life series like this, which it very much is, it's very much committing to that, cute moments are good enough. I'm happy with cute moments. And I like that a lot. More of that kind of thing. And then, yeah, we got Cardfight. It was great, you know? It showed the characters very well, you know? I liked seeing the back and forth between Seto and Megumi. I thought that stuff was very, very entertaining. It was really cool to see Megumi have her cards, like, taken and imprisoned. That stuff was great. I was looking forward to seeing the prison stuff visualized, and they did a really good job of it. It just felt like a really playful card fight, you know? We didn't really get any, like, substantial sucker or anything, but it still really worked. I liked Megumi. I'm assuming it's Megumi's insert song that played, and just the amount of tension and everything, just seeing, like, it was just really good, you know? Like, obviously, I'm trying my hardest to explain all that stuff, but that's the thing. When a series focuses so much on the characters and the feelings and the emotions of the characters, it's sometimes not the easiest to really sum up exactly what it is that makes it work. But it worked for me, and obviously it's not going to work for everyone, but I really enjoyed seeing this stuff, and I really don't have any problems with it. With previous episodes, I had some problems here and there, but with this episode, I really can't think of anything off the top of my head that I really didn't like. I think everything here really worked. And this is coming from someone who didn't really care for Seto at first. In the first episode, she was just nothing to me. Everyone, of course, with the waifu wars going on and everything, everyone was like hyping up Seto and being like, she's gonna be the best character. And I was like, I don't really see it. But the more we see of her and the more we learn about her, the more I do like her. I think I remember the first moment where I was like, oh, maybe this is actually a pretty good character, was the moment with her, like, crouching on top of the tank during the Yu and Megumi card fight, like a gremlin. And, like, as we saw more of her acting very, like, over the top and silly, that stuff really kind of won me over to her. And seeing, like, the card fight with her here was also really good. I think she's a really likable character. Obviously, everyone's gonna be like, this is the waifu war. Like, this is what the internet does, right? The internet's like, this is the waifu war episode. We see the two girls card fight, so which girl's better? And it's still Megumi. I think Megumi so far is still the more interesting of the characters. She still has a lot more going on with her and all that other stuff. Obviously, like, is that an unfair comparison to make, considering that she's obviously had way more focus so far than Seto? Yeah, maybe, but she's still the one I gravitate towards the most, and she's also my sister's favorite character, so I'm contractually obligated to say that. I'm sorry, but... and yeah, I thought this moment with Danji was cute, where we were like kind of dancing around and singing happy birthday after he did remember, and all the characters get along at the end, and it's really fun and happy, and like, that's kind of the thing is, as I mentioned, this is a slice of life anime. This is very much focused on just seeing the characters mess around and have fun, and this episode might have done the best job yet of doing that, of like showing that. The previous episode, the one that didn't have like any card fight at all, with Yu like getting sick and having to feel better, it felt like that episode was trying to do the same thing of being like, hey, look at the characters hanging out and having fun. I think this episode did a better job of that, whilst also showing Megumi's backstory and fitting in a card fight, which makes this episode way better by default. And the previous episode was my least favorite so far, so to see an episode take a similar kind of approach of just being like, yep, slice of life stuff, characters having fun, doing stuff like that, and also giving us more to think about and see in terms of action and character motivations and stuff, whilst also doing a better job of just having these characters hang around and have fun. Yeah, I just really like this episode, basically. Is there anything else to say? Probably not. I just really like this one. So yeah, let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Be sure to like and comment and subscribe to see more of these kinds of videos. I guess I mentioned off the bat, I mentioned a minute ago, so who won the waifu war, quote unquote. I also wanted to take a moment, and I'll probably talk about this more in a future video, but I really like Danji. People saw on my Twitter and everything, I've bought a second copy of the Danji start deck just to keep sealed in the box so I can have it on display on my shelf. I really like danji so far. I saw some complaints, and I don't have any hard feelings for anyone who has these complaints, who have said that like danji's gotten too much of the focus so far and everything. But honestly, I'm of the opinion of I like danji. I don't mind that he's gotten so much focus. That's basically all I have to really say for now. Might come back to that in a future video where I talk more about danji in future, but he's my favorite character so far for sure. And he's one of the reasons I've been playing with the Bruce deck so much recently too. So, I don't know, maybe we'll talk about that more in the future. Don't know if that'll be in a future episode review or if it just gets a standalone video. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Remember, for every statement is an asterisk, and I will see you later.